All right, in this last lesson of Chapter 3, we're going to look at the 5-number summary and box plots. Now, we already talked about the 5-number summary in the previous lesson and all of the steps in finding those quartiles. Basically, your 5-number summary is your minimum, your smallest data value, Q1, your median, which is Q2, Q3, and then your largest data value, which is also called the maximum. Okay, and so that is your 5-number summary. Remember that your interquartile range is the middle 50% of observations. So if you take Q3 minus Q1, that gives you that interquartile range. So let's take a look at an example. All right, so we want to construct a box plot for this data. And so we find the minimum, the quartile 1, the quartile 2, quartile 3, and the maximum. Then we find our interquartile range. We find our lower fence. We find our upper fence. Okay, and then we're going to use those data values to draw a box plot. So now over here, we put our minimum value. We're going to make a marker for Q1, a marker for Q2, or the median, a marker for Q3, and then our maximum. And then this is called a box plot because Q1, you're going to draw a vertical line. Q3, you're going to draw a vertical line, and then you're going to connect it with a box. And then you're just going to draw your lines out to your minimum and your maximum. And we'll do some more of this in class, so you'll get an idea as to how to do it on paper. All right, so if we look at the relationship between the box plot and the shape of the distribution, we can see that when your box is pushed over to the left, that you have more data that are closer to the minimum, then if you were to make a histogram of that same data, it's going to be skewed to the right. If your box plot is pretty symmetric, if everything seems pretty evenly spaced, then you're going to have a fairly normal distribution, bell-shaped distribution. And then if you have most of your data to the right-hand side, closer to the maximum, then that's going to be skewed to the left. So let's take a look at some data, and we're going to create a box plot for this set of data. Now we can use StatCrunch to do it, or we can do it on paper. Let's take a look at what StatCrunch gives us when we construct a box plot. So we enter the data in, and we get this as our box plot. Now, the 3 dots, you might be wondering, where did those come from? Those are the outliers. So if we look at our interquartile range, and we use that to find our fences, we notice that we have 3 data values in our set that are outside those fences. 2 of them are below the lower fence, and 1 is above the upper fence. And so those need to be noted on the box plot. And so, again, we will go over how to do this on paper and using the calculator in class. But this is what StatCrunch will give you as your box and whisker plot.